This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Good, man. I mean, the Heat last night. Jesus Christ, dude.
Good job.
Wow. Pressure's on the Dolphins now.
You know what I just tweeted not that long ago is like, everything is great about the Heat winning. To me, an added bonus is we won't have to hear for the next 20 years come back from 0-3, come back from 0-3, come back from 0-3, 0-3, just like the Celtics did, like we've heard, 28-3.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Boston had won that game? Oh man, we'd have heard that.
God,
it would have shit for 20 years.
I know it would have been, and you would have been the only one part of that stat that just would have been absolutely brutal. And then again, think about being Boston, how you got eliminated by 2 8 seeds in hockey and in basketball. Which
rough times in Beantown.
Whew, my God, that is absolutely rough. Are you worried or concerned at all about 10 days off by Saturday, right?
That's a lot, yeah.
You are?
Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of it. And obviously, Paul Maurice was at that question once Dallas won Game 5, and then it was said that the final wouldn't start until Saturday. And he talked about, preferring the ability to rest / recover. No, recover is what he used from the nicks and bruises that every hockey player has at this time of year. But still 10 days, man, it's like impossible. They're going to look probably like crap the first 5-10 minutes of Game 1. Once that gets going, though, that's no longer an issue. And no, the way they've been playing, once they recapture what they've had going on, hey, they most definitely have a shot against the Golden Knights.
So let me ask you something. Are you the one guy that I think it's a positive for everybody. The only guy I worry about is Bob, because you were in such a groove. Mm-hmm. That's the guy. I think this is a plus for Kachuk and Bennett and everybody else. I think those mother effers are going to be the same guys they are, but their bodies aren't going to be nearly as beat up. So I think they're going to feel fresher. But the goalie, again, it's not like I played the sport or anything like that, but I just kind of feel like the goalie, hell, he wanted to stay in such a groove that he played the next game after the 4 overtimes, bro.
Yeah. No, you make a very good point.
I worry about that.
No, I agree. And also another point that which actually kind of semi-counters what I just said, though, the fact that they are a more gritty type team that's more effort-based than, let's say, last year, where it was more skill-based, I think that's easier to recapture very quickly.
I agree.
With a long layoff, you don't have to be as crisp. The pass doesn't have to be exactly pinpoint. If it's more dump and chase and effort and forechecking and body checking and all that. But with Bob, you're absolutely right. For him, he wants to play like get me back in there with the groove that he's in.
What do you see from the Knights that favors the Panthers?
Goalie is. I mean, I know he had 2 shutouts against Dallas, but he is kind of up and down. I don't think he can be relied on necessarily. I don't think he's necessarily a guy who's going to steal the series the way that Bob perhaps has the ability to steal the series, again, in conjunction with his teammates being clutch. So I think that's the biggest weakness I see in that Vegas team.
Explain to folks out there that don't follow the league. Are the Vegas Golden Knights better than the Carolina Hurricanes, the Toronto Maple Leafs? I doubt they're better than the Boston Bruins, but where do they rank? How tough is this team compared to what the Panthers have already faced?
They're clearly better in Toronto. Toronto is a very flashy team because they have 4 high-end offensive players: Marner, Matthews, Tavares, and
the guy with the M.
Yeah, Marner, Matthews, Tavares, and the other Nylander. But they're not necessarily a gritty playoff type of team.
They're like the 22 Panthers.
They're completely with like the 2022 Panthers. So to me, of the three series that the Panthers have entered, the Toronto series was the one coming in that I felt the best about. Carolina is a team that scoring ran dry, and a big part of that was Bobrovsky. Vegas finished second in the Western Conference, behind only Colorado, pretty much playing the entire year with our Mark Stone, who was one of their marquee players, who had a back injury and was put on long-term injured reserve, which is very good in helping teams deal with this when they have major salary cap issues. And lo and behold, he recovered in time for the playoffs when the salary cap's no longer in effect. So you're talking about like they finished second in the Western Conference, minus the guy who last time I was checking the first period, he had the most ice time. So he's a frontline player. So no, Vegas is very good on defense. They have a lot of size. They have a lot of guys who can score. No, they're really, really good. I would say they're not Boston of the regular season, but they're not far behind. And I think they're probably a little bit better than Carolina was.
And led by a former Panther coach, right?
No,
which is Pete DeBoer's team. That's not what
it was. Dallas Stars.
It was Dallas.
Vegas. He was coaching Vegas last year. Was fired. Went to Dallas. Vegas hired Bruce Cassidy away from after he was fired by the Boston Bruins, who's a terrific coach, by the way. And for us in the media, fabulous with the media. Not sure if he's on Paul Maurice's level, because Paul Maurice is phenomenal with the media.
Do you get a lot of jerks in hockey?
Do I got a what?
Do you get a lot of jerks in hockey?
I'm not talking about jerks. I'm talking about you can get coaches that are kind of dry and won't necessarily give you a whole lot. Now, I'm talking about guys who are like, not only are they like friendly and courteous and all that, they're also give you great stuff. Very, very interesting. I mean, not cookie cutter quotes like that. I mean, they're phenomenal.
That's the good thing about that sport. There aren't really many jerks. You just don't run into them, bro. They're all usually decent, blue collar human beings, bro. Usually, there are probably like 3 or 4 coaches around the league who are grumpy. As funny as Paul Maurice described one of the coaches around the league, called him grumpy, and that's. But for the most part, no, they're very, very. Yeah, hockey people, bro. That's one sport that you like really enjoy to cover. I've always told people, like in the 90s when I was covering the Panthers, the beauty was Beezer was the same dude if he gave up 4 goals or if he had a shutout. Same freaking dude at the end of the night, and Mellenby was too, and all those kind of guys. It was just a lot of fun to cover hockey people when I got the opportunity, because they were just really just salt of the earth people. All right. One question. You've been around long enough. I can ask you this one. Is this the greatest stretch in the last 4 years by any coach in any team in South Florida history with less that Spo has done? Obviously. Or we go to the early 70s, and then we go to the big 3 with the Heat, and we could go to the Canes in the 80s, and we had 4-year stretches where there were championships involved.
Yeah.
But has any coach in South Florida history done more with less in a 4-year stretch where you end up in 3 conference finals and 2 NBA finals than Eric Spoelstra? Can you think of a 4-year stretch that either had the same or less talent, because he only has 1 star on that team? So is there another 4-year stretch?
2 NBA finals, 3 Eastern Conference finals. I mean, if we have any discussion of the best NBA coaches, that dude better be involved in that discussion every single solitary time. No, I mean, big time stuff. I mean, I look at that Heat team, and I look at the roster, and forget the undrafted players type of thing, but it's
whatever. Just
there's really nothing overly impressive about the roster other than Jimmy Butler, if we're going to be honest about it.
I've said I can come up with 15 Heat teams that are better than this one.
Oh, I agree.
15 of them.
But they
all of the Zoe Timmy teams, all of them are way better than this. Any of the Shaq Wade teams, those 2 years, easily. Any of the big 3 teams for those 4 years. I mean, there's a crap ton of teams that are better than these guys, and yet look what they've done, bro.
No, the guy is a phenomenal coach because you look at that team, they don't beat themselves. They always play hard. I don't recall them getting blown out very often, like in games that really matter. I mean, they'll lose their share like everybody else, but I mean, they play hard and they play smart. And I look at the other team, and I didn't watch like the entire series, but a lot of the times when I watched, my Lord, is Boston casual with the basketball. I see guys like dribbling high between 3 defenders, like, well, whatever, okay. And then they're like not taking care of the ball. And then you look at the other end, I didn't see those kind of really careless turnovers like that.
Yeah. And they have 2 guys that are considered all NBA type players. So that's, Miami doesn't have that. That's the other thing I've talked about. Like, Miami has 1 star in Jimmy. No matter what you think about Bam, he's a really good role player, but not a star. Actually, Caleb's the one that's kind of playing like a star. But you look at the Sixers, you look at the Nets, you look at a bunch of other teams that have had 2 stars or more, and they can't get to 2 finals and 3 conference championships in 4 years. Hell, Joel Embiid can't even get to an Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, and he's a superstar. He's one of the 5-7 best players in the entire NBA. Jimmy's not one of the 5 or 7 best players in the entire NBA. I mean, that's how impressive it is that so many others have multiple stars and they can't even get as far as the Heat. It's nuts.
No argument there. And their coaching matters to a certain degree. And a lot of times, because coaches, I mean, they're in the profession for a reason. The difference between coaches is not that noticeable. In this series, to me, it was screaming.
Right.
Difference in coaching.
I'm with you. I think it would be kind of an interesting story. The problem is, I think you're going to get a lot of fluff answers on it and maybe not real truth. But deep down inside, does this put a little extra pressure on Dolphins players? Because I got to think that they're watching this going, shit, dude. The local NHL team is in the Stanley Cup. The NBA team is in the finals. The college teams went to the Final Four. What are we going to do? Lay a freaking egg here? No, we better do something special here, bro. People are, expecting something from us. I wonder if deep down inside would they admit that this adds like just a little more juice this season. Like, man, we better do our part to kind of prove that we belong here. Or as a lot of stars and athletes, they want that kind of attention. They want to be the center of town. They want everybody watching them. So maybe that's also a little bit of a motivating factor too. Is that a story you think you can get any real legs out of? Oh, and the other follow-up to that, is that a story you can get real legs out of? And do you think it adds any juice to anything for them? Or is maybe I'm going a little too far on it?
My initial reaction is I think football players would be like, this is our focus right here. This is what we worry about. It's great that this is happening. It has nothing to do with us. We play a different.
You're right.
I would probably guess out of them, there are, let's say, the 30 most prominent players. I would bet you there's probably like 4 or 5 of them who would say, yeah, dude, it's our turn now.
Right.
Well, don't know that they'd say it publicly though, but I would think
it's not so much pressure. It's more like, shit, I want a piece of that spotlight too. That's kind of what it is. It's not really about, now we have to perform because they perform. No, I think it's more, I want a piece of that attention pie.
Correct. We're going to keep the roll going in South Florida.
Jalen Waddle, were you surprised physically? Because we all talked about Tua, But Jalen's also a guy that bulked up a little bit for this season. Were you surprised with that?
Yeah, I'd say he didn't bulk up a little bit, bulk up a lot. I mean, I was like, damn. No, I didn't. I didn't see it coming. And then my initial reaction, now that I look back on it, because there was like, I'm not necessarily familiar with having a ton of muscles on my body. So it's like, I don't know the effect of it, but I know muscle weighs. So it's like, oh, is there a concern that maybe it slows him down? And then I look at DK Metcalf, whose muscles have muscles and doesn't slow him down. So maybe there shouldn't be any worry. And if it helps him, deal with press coverage at the line of scrimmage and getting those cornerbacks off of him easier, then by all means, I'm all for it. My biggest thing immediately is like, okay, let's just hope it doesn't even take remotely anything away from his speed.
Well, I was talking with Cam about this too, and I agree with him on this. I think it's also about the fumbling, that maybe he wanted to have a stronger body to hold on to that ball because he had too many fumbles. If there was one knock on him last year, was that he had too many brain farts, too many. In fact, one game all by himself, he pretty much lost it. And so I think there's a little something, and that's why as I told Cam, and I'll tell you, Jimmy Butler is the greatest Miami Heat player in traffic I have ever seen in my life, because his hands are vice grips. You never strip him of the ball. You never knock it out of him. He takes it to the hole, and you hit him, but he's still going to get his shot off, and you're not knocking out. And I think that there might be a little something to that, because he plays with a guy who's a little fire hydrant named Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is exceptional.
Built like a rock. Was built like a rock.
Right.
I don't know who we'd be deceiving. The dude's built like a rock.
Right. He's exceptionally strong.
Yeah.
And I think he saw that and says, okay, that dude doesn't fumble much. I need to steal a little bit of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tyreek was his motivation to saying, you know what? I need to build up my body a little bit more so I can hold on to the football.
Yeah. The only thing, though, is because I did something on Waddle last week on alldolphins.com, actually relating to his weight gain and the obvious addition of muscles on top. He only had one fumble last year. The issue with Waddle, to me, is he dropped too many drops.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know necessarily that bulking up like the shoulders and the biceps is going to help with that. And I don't remember the fumble against Minnesota. I don't exactly recall how it was caused, but if I think about it, I don't think it struck me as not necessarily being like a massive hit that would have caused it. It was kind of, so there very possibly could be some validity to that, where, dude, props to him for like looking, okay, where can I get my game better? Well, the two areas is maybe consistency in catching the ball, and maybe he decided I need to be stronger when I do have the ball. So no, props to him.
Yeah. He's a great kid. The new rule change, how much do you love that you now will have the third quarterback and you'll have access to? I think that's something that was a long time coming, right?
I thought you were going to talk to me about the kickoff rule, which I completely hate.
Yeah, that's
might as well. Hey, somebody made the point. Might as well. Why don't you just put the ball in the 25-yard line?
We've been going in that stinking direction already the last couple of years.
Well, yeah, and we're at the point where it's and now see, to me, it's like you're going to waste the time of going through the motions of a kickoff, fair catch, ball to 25. Why don't you just put the ball to 25? I mean, seriously. The other rule. No, it's fine, except remember that third quarterback that if you designate him, he has to be on your active roster. It's not somebody who can be elevated. Well, for the Dolphins, they had three quarterbacks on the active roster last year anyway, so there's no difference for them there. Basically, what it does is it encourages almost, I don't want to say forces, because teams can do whatever they want, but you'd be stupid not to have three quarterbacks on the 53. So,
I mean, we got to go back. You got to go back to that, bro. You and I grew up with that. Give me a break, bro. There were teams that had four quarterbacks on them.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Because back in the day, you always had like a spot for a developmental guy. Always. That's kind of the way it was. So to me, I kind of like this, that you're going to go back to three, because, dude, we can't be in the San Francisco situation again. That's just stupid, bro. These people work too hard, and you can't limit. Just like I hate this 45-man active shit. Brother, if you have 53 on the roster, 53 should be active.
I agree.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. End of story. And then we got to play cheap with the insurance and all this kind of crap. That's what we're doing. Come on, bro. You people print money more than the Federal Reserve. Are you out of your minds? Let's go.
I thought the issue, though, that they used to rationalize the 45 was competitive balance, where they didn't want to penalize the team that was dealing with a lot of injuries against the team that didn't have any injuries. Again, to me, it's like, such as life in the big city. It happened. That type of thing is going to happen anyway. But there was no reason, especially your 53rd guy on your roster is going to be a guy who might play a few snaps on special teams, or is going to be inactive half the time. Just put on a quarterback. But
at one point or another, he might be able to help you in a situation in a pinch. And to limit your coaches to 45 guys out of 53 and leave 8 there that are constantly practicing and preparing, and then they can't contribute. That's just stupid, bro. That makes no sense. And to me, I love this, having the 3 quarterbacks, because, man, quarterbacks go down left and right, dude. Please. This is finally a good move, overall. What are you looking forward to here this week when you go back to camp?
Yeah, we're going back tomorrow for our second and last open OTA. Same as it was last week. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, there were a couple of guys missing. I guess I want to see Azukama again, flash to me a little bit. I want to see Tanner Connor maybe catch a few passes with another guy who bulked up in the offseason. I think I saw him had one ball in his direction last week, and if I recall correctly, he kind of fought it a little bit. I want to see him catch the ball and catch the ball smoothly.
I think he's in big trouble, because I think getting Higgy with it is a hell of a lot more polished than he is right now. And while I love that kid's speed, when I look again Higgy with it, he just looks like right now he's just closer to a more complete player, whereas the other guy looks like a complete project. You know what I mean? It's weird.
It's not unfair, but again, the dude flashed last summer. He did flash.
He did.
Didn't kind of regress in the regular season. Outside of that, I like for Mike White to kind of show me something where I go, okay, there's something there. Okay. I think that would be my number one objective.
You want to see some mustard on the ball. All right, I got you. Some mustard
or some quick passing where the ball gets out quickly.
Okay. All right. Well, he also probably is thinking too now, because it is a new system for him too. So he's got a little bit of an adjustment. We got to give him a break there. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. And remember, folks, you become an official Dolphins fan, not by season tickets, not by buying a jersey or a hat or something silly like that. No. You got to bookmark alldolphins.com. When you do that, you officially become a Dolphins fan. So make sure you do it and follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. We'll catch up later in the week, my friend. Appreciate you immensely. Enjoy the hockey.
Absolutely. And we'll enjoy the basketball too.
That too. Damn right. Be good. There you go. Alain Poupart getting it done. And call my guy Eric at EJD Construction, 305-433-4843.
This is the Big O Show.